Hello, hello, welcome once again. Right, topic is captains and captaincy and what's happening within the teams as we go along. Now, this season has been rather interesting actually from that perspective because many a team has changed their captain or had the captain changed. Now, don't worry, I'm not suggesting anything in that regard. I'm just talking about the fact that the personnel in the Indian Premier League teams has shifted in terms of roles. And I suppose we should go through it actually. Start off with, I suppose, the most high profile one because it was done really late was that of MS Dhoni announcing that Ruturaj Gaikwad, or CSK announcing that Ruturaj Gaikwad was going to take over from MS Dhoni. He's done that. He's leading the side. They're going okay. MSD playing just as a player. And how that's going, well, we continue to watch through the season. On to Mumbai Indians. Hardik Pandya turning up from Gujarat Titans, title winning first season, and then also second, runners-up in the second season, did brilliantly. What a franchise it was. So to be new and to end up right up top, a couple of seasons that were fantastic. And I guess that is why Mumbai Indians would have thought, hey, hold on, we want this guy back. And even when he left, remember, many said he'd be back to Mumbai Indians. But what about that dynamic with Rohit Sharma, who is captain of the national side? How does that work as far as those two are concerned and as far as the franchise is concerned in itself? On to the next. Where Hardik Pandya leaves, somebody must fill the gap. Shubman Gill, young guy. I said at the start of the tournament actually that it was particularly important that the fact that he perhaps would be groomed, right? This, even though Gujarat Titans will look at it and say, no grooming going on, we've got a captain, we want this guy to try and win the title. But there is an importance in terms of the bigger picture for all these franchises because, of course, they feed into the bigger system, which is the international system, where you then would play for India. And in a time to come, who knows, maybe he would be one of those considered as a potential captain of India. That's a long way from here because he's only 23 years old. Then Shreyas Iyer, Nitish Rana, and that was a case of injury last year, wasn't it? So Shreyas Iyer is into the Kolkata Knight Riders camp, and he's the skipper. Gautam Gambhir has gone there as well. So, yeah, how does that relationship work? And in fact, Nitish Rana is not able to make the side. He's been on the side predominantly on the outer in the dugout, waiting for a go as his side, previously in charge, is going pretty well. Then overseas, right? Overseas professionals in Pat Cummins, World Cup winning just recently. I know it was 50 overs. And then Aidan Markram, who was captain, Sunrisers Hyderabad. What's happened? Daniel Vettori's come in. He works within the Australia camp and he's decided, I'm going to go with Pat Cummins. Perhaps it's not him. Perhaps it's a collective decision within the Sunrisers Hyderabad camp. And what's happened? Markram must now just play in the side and Pat Cummins lead. He's leading well, by the way. And as luck would have it, Markram warrants his spot in the side and is doing decently. So no real issues there. However, there are the questions to ask. Another one I actually must mention is a return from injury for Rishabh Pant. Great to see him back and his comeback and his playing as the skipper of the side and scoring runs as well. Him and Ponting get on like a house on fire. And you remember not last season, 2 seasons ago, the fact that, in fact, I think it's probably even more seasons ago, Ricky Ponting going across to Delhi Capitals, and he becomes captain. I think it took over from Shreyas Iyer, if my memory serves me correctly. And they've kind of plotted the way forward for Delhi Capitals, and they're hoping that this season would go really well and would be a fairy tale comeback, wouldn't it? And yeah, their relationship pretty good and absolutely no issues. Everybody within the camp understands how things are going. And so my chat essentially is about the passing of the baton, or the taking of the baton, as the case may be, and what it does to teams, and whether it destabilizes them or not, or if there is some sort of confusion within the setups when the leader changes. Sometimes, and I'll use CSK as the example, whilst Dhoni's there, it is certainly my thinking that he would be the leader of that franchise, and there would be much consultation from whoever it was who was given any sort of position to try and be at the forefront, because this guy's been there right from the beginning. Tala, they call him, and that's big as a nickname. That's all they call him, by the way. And you know, as a nickname, as an endearing name, as a name that kind of tells you that he is the leader, he is the man of that franchise. Yes, there'll be much consultation. I don't think that anybody would lead by just doing exactly what they want. But the vision, I don't think, is going to stray too much from what they've tried to build and continue to try and reinforce as time goes on. So the coming in of Gaikwad is an opportunity for him to gauge where he is, to figure out whether his performances can go accordingly as well. But it's a case of learning and figuring out how he can slowly sort of take, not control per se, but take the reins of a ship that really is sailing in a direction and is not going to change too much. In other camps, Mumbai Indians, for instance, I don't know about that camp, because Rohit Sharma is still very much a leader in Indian cricket. Hardik Pandya is a national player and in himself proved to be a good leader at Gujarat Titans. Whether the visions will be identical, I don't think so. I think two strong characters. I think it really will be incumbent on Rohit Sharma to sort of take the step back. And it looks like he has, to be perfectly honest. Unfortunate and unsavory, some might say, the incidents of Hardik Pandya being booed by fans, and then many coming out after as well and saying, "Oh, don't say this, don't do that, why are you booing him?" All of it. Just fans expressing their thoughts, expressing what they feel and what they want. Nothing anybody can do about that. It just is what it is. And essentially, until a side is winning, you're not going to have the fans go with you. So the only way he can kind of get them back, Hardik Pandya, some of those who are booing, it won't be everybody. Everybody kind of supports the Mumbai Indians as a team, and who leads. It's difficult to let go of Rohit because he's so successful and has been at the forefront for so long. So change is difficult for some of those fans. But the only way Hardik wins them back is to get Mumbai Indians on track and winning again. And maybe even having to win the title in order to convince many people. I think it's a good enough thing. I can understand the thinking, youth and aging, one guy towards the end of his career, another guy still very much in the middle of it, and deciding that the baton must be passed on, you know, changing of the guard, so to speak. The synergy and the relationships are always going to be particularly important. You think of Gil and Nera and Kirsten and Solanki in that GT setup. How do they speak to him? They've probably got accustomed to speaking a certain way when it comes to the leadership discussions with Hardik Pandya because of his personality, and he sort of put his own stamp on that side. What is Gil's stamp going to be? What is Hardik Pandya's stamp going to be on the Mumbai Indians side? What is Pat Cummins' stamp going to be? Is it going to be that calm exterior that we see with Australia, where he's just pretty much relaxed and just goes about his business? It's been like that to this point. Vettori also a very calm man. You kind of Hardly ever see him flustered, and hardly ever saw him flustered throughout his career as a fantastic spin bowler for New Zealand. Yeah, so all this very interesting. I love it. All these leadership scenarios and the way that they affect the various teams. With the way the season has gone, got to speak about the other leaders as well. And Sanju Samson, gone pretty well with his team, stable, and in his camp, many older players, experienced players who've been around a long time. They're battle-hardened. That's what I like to call them, battle-hardened royals who are guiding the others as well with this captain who's been in charge. Record, actually, what is it, 50 games as captain, and only behind the great Shane Warne in terms of number of appearances as captain of the Royals. So brilliantly done by him. Then Rishabh, watching him closely, he too is maturing, has matured into a decent leader and looking to lead Delhi Capitals to a title. It's important for them, isn't it? They're still searching, one of a few that are still searching as a franchise. Then KL Rahul and the LSG. Important for them this season. Very important for them. They've got a quality side and they can unleash some people in there, but can they get themselves over the line? That's the question. Change in leadership there from a perspective of coaching. So there needs to be that synergy with Justin Langer, who's a hard man who will look to ensure that there are sort of some things that are non-negotiable within a setup, as is the case, I guess, with any setup, and try and figure out how we can unlock that whole side along with KL Rahul and bring the best out of everybody. Faf du Plessis at RCB, Andy Flower joins him, and they, similar sort of guys actually. Andy Flower, Justin Langer, left-handers, tough men, and they've got to try and weave a way in which they can unlock the best out of those sides. Du Plessis, a good leader, and has been for some time. Yeah, he's going to have to, having had a season already of leading RCB, try and take that next step and get them in the playoffs, get them into that finals week. One more guy to speak of is Shikhar Dhawan. Shikhar Dhawan, been around forever, man. And he's a sort of calm guy. And they've got some quality players in that Punjab Kings side. And crazily, that team is they're kind of nearly men. And not nearly men in terms of the final, but nearly men in terms of sort of getting into the playoffs. They've got to do better than that this season with what they've got. And it's going to be incumbent on leadership. Can he get them there? Can he get them over the line? Can he perform with bat in hand and lead from the front? And then can he use all of those quality players that he has around him there, game breakers? It's the case with all of the franchises, actually. And for me, and it's the reason why I decided I'd speak on this captaincy story and ask you what you reckon about the various captains in the various camps and how they're going, how they might go. So I think it's a big thing. So many sides take the character of their leaders. And if the character of their leaders is calm, I suppose not necessarily all the time, but calm under the pressure of the expectation and in the moments that are the biggest, and are able to clearly see what to do and plan to do and execute that, they're the ones that come out on top, despite what happens at any other time. So, yeah, many examples in these guys who have been asked to lead these franchises. Who will come out on top? Whose leadership will be the best? You tell me. I'll be watching that closely. I hope that you are too. That's it for now. We'll catch you again next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Ciao.